The New England Patriots inked Stefon Diggs on a 3-year, $69 million contract, with around 26 of that $69 million being in guaranteed money here. And me personally, I love the deal for the Patriots, inking him to a multi-year contract, not rushing him to come back on a 1-year deal here, but just getting a stable vet in your room and someone who's been extremely productive throughout their entire career. And I think it matches this offense kind of perfectly just because of his versatility as well as his elite route running. He's been one of the best route runners pre-injury in the NFL. And of course, it's all going to be hindering on his injury here. Of course, suffering that torn ACL last year for the Houston Texans. But, I mean, Stefon Diggs can play out wide in the slot. You could have him at the X, the Y, the Z. And he's going to get you production. And that's something that the Patriots simply have just been lacking at the wide receiver position. And the great thing about Diggs is he has the entire route tree to work with. He's that good of a route runner. Whether you want to run him on deep routes, short routes, routes in the slot, he has the entire route tree open, which is going to force the defense to put a lot of eyes on him. And especially given the fact that the Patriots don't have a ton of talent, a lot of these defenses are going to be focusing on Stefon Diggs, which means guys are going to have more favorable matchups. Everyone gets pushed down a slot in the depth chart here, which is going to allow for them to have more favorable matchups. They might not get the targets that they had last year, but they should be more productive with the targets that they get because of having a guy like Stefon Diggs who just draws so much attention. And honestly, I think that Stefon Diggs is just the perfect fit for this system. And if I'm Drake Maye, I couldn't be more happy. The Patriots finally invested in a playmaker for me to throw the ball to, and I really don't have to do everything by myself. So getting Drake Maye this top target is only going to help this offense grow as well as Drake Maye grow even more. And I understand that there might be some culture concerns with Stefon Diggs. Guess what? It's worth the risk. You're not a good football team, and your offense has not been a good offense for a multitude of years here. So finally giving your starting quarterback a top target is something that the Patriots should have done a while ago. And it's been something that they've been neglecting. And to Josh McDaniels' credit, when he was here, I think it was something that he was able to cover up. However, he did have Tom Brady, and I understand that he did have some success with Mac Jones, given the fact that he didn't necessarily have a top target. But now that you have a guy like Stefon Diggs, this offensive playbook is going to be able to expand. And I would look, honestly, to what Las Vegas did under Josh McDaniels with a guy like Davante Adams for something that might be able to comp here with Stefon Diggs. Both pretty similar play styles, both very good route runners. So I would look into how Josh McDaniels used Davante Adams and kind of compare that to how he might be able to use Stefon Diggs here in New England. Well, let's take a look at what Stefon Diggs was able to do in Houston last year. Of course, he only played 8 games after suffering that torn ACL. He had an offensive grade of 79, a receiving grade of 79.7, and a run block rate of 53.3. He was targeted 62 times and came down with a total of 47 receptions for a reception rate of 75.8%. He almost had 500 yards, being 496 yards in total. He averaged around 10.6 yards per reception, came down with 3 touchdowns. He was 50-50 on contested catches. He came up with 3 out of 6 balls. He had 187 yards after the catch and only had 2 drops last year for a drop rate of 4.1%. So very sure hands. As I said before, very good route runner and is explosive with the ball in his hands. But even just taking a look at his career numbers here, he has a career total of 926 receptions for a grand total of 11,402 yards. He has 74 career touchdowns. And taking a look at where he was really aligned with the Texans last year, he took 226 wide snaps compared to 196 slot snaps. However, on passing downs, the Texans actually used him more so in the slot, and he was a little more productive in the slot, which is something that Josh McDaniels knows very well of how to use of his wide receivers. Of course, like I said before, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, even guys like Jacoby Myers really have thrived in the slot here. And Stefon Diggs, debatably, might be the best route runner of those 3. Maybe Julian Edelman is in contention with that. But overall wise, Stefon Diggs is certainly the best wide receiver that Josh McDaniels has had here in New England, probably since Randy Moss and maybe the 1 game sample size of Antonio Brown. So I'm very excited to see how not only Drake Maye, but Josh McDaniels used Stefon Diggs to unlock new dimensions in this offense. And from a larger scheme here, this deal has an even more significant impact just because of the state of the wide receiver in New England. And they have not been able to lure wide receivers here to New England. And it's kind of been a barren place where wide receiver has kind of been untouchable for the Patriots because no wide receivers have wanted to go there just because of the lack of production over these past couple years and the uncertainty of quarterbacks throwing them the football since Tom Brady has left. But now that you have Drake Maye throwing you the football, hopefully Stefon Diggs is able to come in here and show other wide receivers across the league, hey, New England is a place where you can be productive. And maybe it's going to allow for New England to be back on the wide receivers map.